This video is going to review how to read a digital electric meter and calculate the electric usage as well as the cost of electricity associated with a meter. On the screen are the two types of meters. The analog meter is on the left, and the right one is the digital meter. Since this is the explanation for a digital meter, we're going to be using what you would use if you had this type of meter at your home. Note that there are some big differences. The analog meter has dials that you have to read, and there's a multiply that is on the meter face itself. Some of these new digital meters do not require a multiplier, so you want to make sure you double check on your meter if you need a multiplier. So the first step in reading a digital electric meter is to note when you're going to get the readout for kilowatt hours. Typically, on the screen you will see a series of 8s, letting you know that the system is about to reset and show you the current kilowatt usage. Directly after the flashing of the 8s, you get a readout in kilowatt hours. Now, this is a set of data from a series of 3 readings from the electric meter. So if this was on our first reading, this is our second, and this is our third, it's an important note to make. This does not mean this was day 1, 2, and 3, and these are 3 days have passed. This is actually your initial. This is the first 24-hour period, and this would be the second 24-hour period. So to figure how much electric energy usage has occurred is relatively simple. You take the electric energy on the readings. You take the final reading minus initial, and you have to divide by the amount of time that has passed. So our final reading here would be the bottom box. So we've got 0, 3, 5, 6, 3, and that's in kWh for kilowatt hours. If we subtract that by our initial reading, which was 0, 3, 5, 4, 3 kilowatt hours, our units are still going to be at the end kilowatt hours, and we go ahead and subtract that, and that's 20. The next part is to figure out how much time has elapsed, because we're trying to find an average use here, and the time. So here's our initial, 24 hours passes on the first day, and then another 24 hours. So we're looking at a change in 2 days. All right, so it's 20 kilowatt hours divided by 2 days, and we end up with, in our units, day, in our denominator, and our numerator will be kWh, kilowatt hours. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. So our average use from these readings would be 10 kilowatt hours per day. One of the most common mistakes in doing this sample problem would be thinking that your initial day was an entire 24-hour period and then saying you would divide by 3 days. That is incorrect, because you should be dividing by 2 days, because that is a number of days, 24-hour periods that have passed. So keep that in mind when you're calculating your energy usage. So the next question we are going to ask ourselves is, how much does that cost to run our house with that much energy being used? So we're going to have to use another equation, which is going to be the cost of electricity. So here's the equation. Cost of electricity is going to be equal to the energy used times the cost per kilowatt hour. So let's suggest or say that the average, or the amount that we use from the power company, is going to be, let's say, 10 cents per kilowatt hour. All right, we just plug that into our equation. The amount of energy used was 10 kilowatt hours per day. You multiply that by our cost, 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Just move our decimal point over, and we'll use 0.10, which is $1, right, per day. So think about it, kilowatt hours is canceled from the numerator to the denominator here. Of course, if you want to know how much you would use per week, you multiply it by 7 days, multiply it by 30 days to get the average month. These numbers, of course, are fictitious, and your actual usage may be much higher than what we used in this sample problem. Be sure that you record carefully your numbers and follow the following steps in order to make sure that you get your solution.